Hey guys, so in this video we will be trying to solve another very standard dynamic programming problem, that is matrix chain multiplication problem. So let's get started. But before we get into the actual problem, let's just try to understand a few properties regarding matrix multiplication. In this case, we are given two matrices A and B. The dimension of matrix A is 3 cross 2 and dimension of matrix B is 2 cross 3. So the first property over here suggests that given two matrices A and B of dimensions R1 cross C1 and R2 cross C2, A cross B is only defined if C1 is equals to R2. Alright. For example, in this case, C1 is equals to 2 and R2 is equals to 2. So since C1 is equals to R2, for this case over here, the matrix multiplication A cross B is defined. The second property states that the dimension of the new resultant matrix after multiplication will be equals to R1 cross C2. Alright. For example, in this case, R1 is equals to 3 and C2 is equals to 3. So the dimension of the new matrix will be equals to 3 by 3, and thus A cross B will be a 3 by 3 matrix, and that is evident from this result over here as well. So these are the two properties that will be very important to us while discussing the problem. Now the second set of properties imply that the number of iterations to multiply two matrices A and B of dimensions R1 cross C1 and R2 cross C2 is R1 into C1 into C2. For example, in this case over here, A is a 3 by 2 matrix and B is a 2 by 3 matrix. So the total number of iterations to multiply them will be equals to R1 into C1 into C2, that is 3 into 2 into 3, that is equals to 18. Now the third property over here suggests that matrix multiplication is associative. To understand associativity, let's just say that we want to find the product of A cross B cross C, where A, B and C are three different matrices. In this case, the value of this expression over here will be equals to the value of this expression over here. So that's what we mean by associativity. That is, this expression over here and this expression over here will end the same resultant matrix. Now that we understand the properties of matrix multiplication, let's just have a look at the problem. So in the problem, you are given dimensions of n matrices m1, m2, m3, m4 up to mn. Alright. So the important point to note is you are not given the matrices, you are just given their dimensions. So let's say the dimensions are R1 cross C1, R2 cross C2, R3 cross C3 and up to Rn cross Cn. So you are given these dimensions and you have to find the minimum number of iterations that we would need to perform in order to find m1 cross m2 cross m3 cross m4 up to cross mn, where mi represents the ith matrix over here. Alright. Now let's just try to understand the problem with the help of a test case. Alright. So let's say we are given three matrices m1, m2, m3 with dimensions 2 cross 3, 3 cross 3 and 3 cross 4. According to the problem, we have to find the minimum number of iterations to find the value of the product m1 cross m2 cross m3. Now you all know that matrix multiplication is associative from the previous properties that we have discussed. So the two ways to multiply these matrices m1 cross m2 cross m3 will be by either following this expression, that is m1 cross m2 whole multiplied to m3, or by m1 multiplied to m2 cross m3 whole. The important thing to note over here is, even though the end result will be same, the number of iterations to evaluate these two expressions can be different. So let's just lay down the first expression over here, that is m1 into m2 under a bracket multiplied to m3. So for evaluating this expression over here, the first step that we would need to perform is m1 cross m2. So let's say this m1 cross m2 evaluates to x1, and the number of iterations to find the value of this x1 from the property will be equals to 2 into 3 into 3, that is equals to 2 into 3 into 3 equals to 18. Now after we perform this evaluation over here, in the second step we will be performing the evaluation x1 cross m3. So the dimension of this x1 over here, if you notice from the property, it will be equals to 2 cross 3 again. Alright. So again from the property, the total number of iterations to perform x1 cross m3 will be equals to 2 into 3 into 4, that is equals to 24. So in total, the total number of iterations we are making in these two steps is equals to 18 plus 24, that is equals to 42 for this first expression over here. All right, so it just means that we need to make 42 iterations to evaluate this first expression over here. Now in the same way, let's just try to calculate the number of iterations that we need to make in order to calculate the second expression. So in the same way, for computing the value of second expression over here, the first evaluation that we need to perform is M2 cross M3. So the total number of iterations to perform M2 cross M3 will be equals to 3 into 4. That is 9 into 4 equals to 36. Alright, now let's say this M2 cross M3 is equals to X2. And let's say the dimension of this X2 again from the property will be equals to 3 into 4. So now the number of iterations in the second step, we will be performing M1 cross X2. So the number of iterations to perform this M1 cross X2 in total from the property again will be equals to 2 into 3 into 4. That is equals to 6 into 4, that is 24. So the total number of iterations that we will be making in this case is equals to 36 plus 24 equals to 60 in total. All right. So one can say that the first expression is more optimal than the second expression to follow. That is, if we follow the first expression, we can perform this compute. If we can compute the product in 42 iterations in total. All right. So that's why for this test case over here, answer will be equals to 42. So in order to solve this problem over here, we will use dynamic programming. So whenever we are trying to solve a dynamic programming problem, we divide the problem into 3 different subproblems. So the first subproblem is defining the states of the DP. So let's just say that we are given M matrices in total, that is M1, M2, M3 and so on up to Mn, and we are required to find the product of M1 cross M2 cross M3 up to Mn. Alright. So in this case, I am going to define dp of I comma j as the minimum number of iterations, required to evaluate mi into m of I plus 1 into m of I plus 2 up to mj. So this is what dp of I comma j here will mean. For example, let's say I want to find the value of dp of 2 comma 4. So in this case, dp of 2 comma 4 will be nothing but minimum number of iterations to evaluate m2 into m3 into m4 in case of one based indexing. So this is the definition of the state. Now that we have defined the states, let's just have a look at the second subproblem. Also, before we get into the second subproblem, it's quite evident from the definition of our states that the final answer will be given by dp of 1 comma n. So from definition, dp of 1 comma n will mean the number of iterations, the minimum number of iterations to evaluate m1 cross m2 cross m3 up to mn. So that's the answer that we are looking for. Now to understand this recurrence relation, let's just say that I want to compute the value of dp of 1 comma 4. So it just means that I have to minimize the number of iterations to compute the value of m1 into m2 into m3 into m4. So now our aim will be to bracketize this expression over here in a way such that the number of iterations is minimized. So for solving a particular state, we put exactly 2 pair of brackets on this expression over here. Alright, so let's see how we do that over here. So the first way to bracketize this will be equals to m1 and m2, m3, m4. That is, first we will evaluate the value of m2, m3 and m4, and then we will multiply the resultant to m1. The second pair will be m1, m2. That is, first we will evaluate m1 and m2. Then we will evaluate m3 and m4, and then we will multiply their resultant. The third way will be m1, m2, m3, and their resultant and their product will be multiplied to m4 over here. So these are the 3 ways to put exactly 2 pair of brackets on this expression over here. All right. So now let's just try to understand why we have laid down these ways over here. So if we have a look at this first expression over here, so in order to multiply m1 with the resultant of m2, m3 and m4, the number of iterations that it would take is r1 into c1 into c4 from the property that we have discussed. Plus we will also need to add the number of iterations required to evaluate this expression and this expression, that is m2, m3, m4 internally. All right, that is equals to dp of 1 comma 1 plus dp of 2 comma 4. So this is how we compute the number of iterations for this particular expression over here. In the same way, the number of iterations to compute the resultant of these two expressions over here will be equals to R1 into C2 into C4 plus dp of 1 comma 2, that is the number of iterations to compute this expression internally, plus dp of 3 comma 4. And at last, the number of iterations required to compute this expression over here will be equals to R1 into C3 into C4 plus dp of 1 comma 3 plus dp of 4 comma 4. So these over here, these expressions are the minimum number of iterations that we would make with respect to these expressions over here that we have laid down over here. All right, so if we take a minimum of all three of these over here, so that would be the value of dp of 1 comma 4. All right, so just like that, now we will try to generalize this to any value of dp of I comma j. So let's just make some space over here. Now, in order to understand the value of dp of I comma j, so the recurrence relation will be dp of I comma j is minimum of ri into ck into cj plus dp of I comma k plus dp of k plus 1 comma j for all k between I to j minus 1 inclusive. So this is how we actually define our recurrence relation over here. So I hope that the recurrence was clear. So now we will move to the third sub problem. Now before we move into the topological ordering, it's important to note that dp of I comma j is defined only when j is greater than equals to I. And the second thing to note is dp of I comma I will be equals to 0. Why? Because we are left with a single matrix. dp of I comma I corresponds to a single matrix over here. So there is no other matrix to multiply it to. So the total number of iterations will be equals to 0. Now, if we have a look at this recurrence relation, it's evident that before we solve the ith row, it's important that we solve all the rows which are greater than I, that is I plus first row, I plus second row, and so on. In the same way, it's important that before solving the jth column, we solve all the columns which are less than j, that is 0, 1, 2, and up to j minus 1. So these two things are derived from the recurrence relation over here. Now, keeping these 2 points in mind, let's just lay down the topological ordering. So for that, let's just make some space over here. And now let's just try to lay down the topological ordering. So as we discussed, it's important that we solve the rows in decreasing order. That is, first we will solve the nth row, then n minus first row, then n minus second, and up to first row. Now let's say now I'm trying to solve the nth row over here. All right, so I have already discussed that j should be greater than equals to I. All right, so in this case, the only state that we need to solve is n comma n. And now when we are trying to solve the n minus first row, the states that we need to solve is n minus 1 comma n minus 1 and n minus 1 comma n. So this will be in the increasing order of the j, of the value of j, as we have discussed. Now for solving n minus second row over here, so to do that, we will solve the states in the increasing order of the columns, that is n minus 2 comma n minus 2, n minus 2 comma n minus 1, and n minus 2 comma n. In the same way, so on. For the first, row over here. We will solve the states in the order 1 comma 1, 1 comma 2, 1 comma 3, and up to 1 comma n, and this over here will correspond to our final answer. Now trying to understand the time complexity, if you notice the total number of states is O of n square, and the average time to solve each state is O of n, and this leads to a total time complexity of O of n cube. Now this is the time complexity for this problem over here. So in cases where we are trying to multiply very large matrices of very huge dimensions, this technique over here, it can actually allow us to lay down a sequence in which we should multiply the matrices to decrease the total number of iterations in worst case. So that's the actual real life use case of this problem over here. And a lot of different problems can actually be solved with the help of this same technique. So in this problem, what was important was the technique that we learned, that is the bracketing technique.